ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां दयाकरं दयाकारं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम् ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः केनेषितं पतति प्रेषितं मनः केनेषितं प्रतति प्रेषितं मनः केन प्राणः प्रथमः प्रैतियुक्तः केनेषितां वाचमिमां वदन्ति चक्षुश्रोत्रं कौ देवो युनक्ति श्रोत्रस्य श्रोत्रं मनसो मनो यत् वाचो हवाचं स उप्राणस्य प्राणः चक्षुषश्चक्षुरतिमुच्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकादमृता भवन्ति We saw the first verse in detail yesterday, first mantra. Kena ishitam, and then edited to Kena preshitam. Ishitam, ish to desire, willed by whom, and then when you add the pra, the meaning slightly changes to in whose presence, directed by whom. And so the student edits the question a little bit in the light of perhaps hearing himself and seeing, okay, if there is a will, then the will should have an entity, and if it's an entity controlling my mind, then there must be somebody controlling that entity. There must be one more will attached to one more entity, and one more will attached to one more entity, happily going in what is called infinite regression. This is a fallacy. You can't have any argument end in infinite regression. And so there are many fallacies like this. What is that? Anavastha dosha, fallacy of infinite regression. Punarukti dosha, fallacy of redundancy. And then what else do we have? Then we have one more called Anyonya Ashraya dosha. If something is, if I say fabric depends on what? Yarn, correct? Shirt depends that this is better. Shirt depends on fabric. If I say, then in the same breath, what do I say? Fabric depends on shirt. That doesn't make sense. This is Anyonya Ashraya. It doesn't, and same thing we can do with pot and clay also. Pot depends on clay and clay depends on pot. It is incorrect and faulty argument. So like this, there are many ways of bringing about the flaws. So this flaw should not be there. Therefore, And also the other flaw is what? That the human being becomes like a puppet, tyrannized by some other entity who is deciding what I should think. Is that something that is in keeping with the human desires? Not at all. I want myself to be a free agent. I don't want to be somebody else's or some other, even if God were the puppeteer, I would not like it very much. Definitely. And so if there is a God outside of me and the God is the puppeteer, I would not like it at all. We saw all this. And then the other thing about this is this, that if this mind, what all are there, what all are listed here, chakshuhu, shrotram, manaha, vak, and then what else? All these sense organs and the organs of action, if they are shining means coming to their own, coming to their own functions, doing their functions. If they are shining, how are they shining? In the presence of something else. Now that something else, namely consciousness, is that the property of the mind? Is that the property of the eyes? No. So then that means what? It is outside of the mind, outside of the body, outside of everything. And if it is outside of everything, what is the connection between this consciousness and the mind? If it is outside, then knowing this consciousness which is outside of me is not going to make me any freer. It's just like saying, outside Rishikesh, there is a temple. Big deal. There are many temples. What does it mean? Nothing. It does not change me. It does not transform me. It does not help me to understand myself. And so, but then I still don't feel comfortable saying it is the property of the mind or it is within the body-mind complex. It cannot be within the body-mind complex. It cannot be outside the body-mind complex. So this creates a lot of confusion. To understand the first mantra and the second mantra together, there is a very beautiful argument that has an abiding presence in the Upanishads. We see this in the Kenopanishad also towards the last portion. This is called Samhata and Asamhata argument. In the Taittiriya Upanishad also it is present. Samhata means assembled. Asamhata, not assembled. Samhata means put together. So this arrangement of the mind, the sense organs, the organs of knowing, the organs of action, they are all what? Put together. They are put together. They are assembled. The question is, for whose sake? Is it so do the eyes have sight so that they can enjoy seeing the world? No. It is for me. Correct? Do the ears have the capacity to pick up sound so that they can enjoy classical music and all other things? No. The world of sounds is there for me. The ears are there for me. The mind is not for the mind. What will the mind do with the mind? Nothing. It won't even know what to do with it. It is inert. The mind is not for the mind. The mind is for whom? Me. Who is the me? The one that says, I cannot remember, never mind. For that one. Mind is there for who? For me. And then the ears, eyes, mind, speech is there for whom? For me. So this whole body-mind sense complex has been put together part by part, because we can separate the parts cognitively. For the partless consciousness, me, to have some portholes, gateway to the world. The consciousness that abides in the body-mind complex, which is put together, is the consciousness also put together? Consciousness has three parts: Sat, Chit, Ananda. And then little bit of Sat I put together, little bit of Chit, little bit of Ananda. Is that correct? No. No parts. These are not attributes of consciousness. This is the definition of consciousness from three angles. It's not parts. It is the whole. And so therefore, I, who is as though abiding in this body-mind-sense complex, am enjoying looking through the windows. This is what it is. Eyes are already called windows of the soul. So the eyes are like windows to see the Jagat. Ears are another pair of windows. They are like earphones to hear all the things in the Jagat. The whipping wind, the sound of the wind, howling wind, you can hear. If you go nearer the river, you can hear the Ganga flow. You can hear the music, you can hear laughter, you can hear your own speech. All this is very beautiful, extremely beautiful. And the argument goes like this: whatever is put together is for the sake of somebody else. Like even a house. You make a house, you build a house, and then you have a house warming ceremony. The house is what? Put together, correct? And then you ask so you have a house, you invite people, and the people ask you, oh, is this house for you? Are you going to stay? No, I am not going to stay. You're going to rent it out? No, I'm not going to rent it out. Oh, you're going to let a friend stay in the house? No, I'm not going to let a friend stay in the house either. What is this house for then? It is for its own sake. The house is for the house. Anybody does that? No. The very thought is funny. The house is for the sake of the house means what? House cannot be for the house. That which is put together is for the sake of something else. That's why we have Griha Pravesham, the entry of the house. That which does the entry, that is for whom the house is built. Who does the entry in a Griha Pravesha? First, no, not you. First, the photo of Bhagavan is taken in. Let's not forget. In Western country, they don't have house entry ceremony. They have something called warming the house, because these are all cold climates. And so, generally speaking, so house warming. And then you just invite some people and then you show them the house and have something to eat and drink. That's about it. Here for us, Bhagavan is entering the house. Why do you need a photo of Bhagavan to enter first? Why do you need that? Because if everything is Brahman, if everything is Bhagavan, you can take anything inside. You yourself can go inside. But I don't know that yet. I don't know that yet. I don't know I am Bhagavan. If I knew I am Bhagavan, I can just walk in and say, okay, Bhagavan has entered the house. I can say, no problem. But I don't know that yet. I'm in the process of knowing it. And being in the process of knowing it, what do I need to do? Therefore, I have to remind myself that this home is for Bhagavan. This home is for Bhagavan. Bhagavan is entering first, and then I am following closely on the heels of Bhagavan. And if Bhagavan enters first, there are many advantages. Supposing the roof is not made properly, correct? And then what happens? It collapses. So I have the photo here, it will collapse on the photo first. Just like Krishna driving Arjuna's chariot. Every arrow has to pass through him first before it can dare touch Arjuna. So like this, there is a protection, and there is also a yathartha. There is a truth to it, that Bhagavan is entering the house, and we celebrate Bhagavan entering the house. And then similarly, in this body, mind, sense also complex also, just as the photo of Bhagavan entered the house and then it was put in a proper area on a pedestal and worshipped, similarly, Bhagavan has entered, as it were, this body, mind, sense complex. This is exactly, that is. Oh, but that was a big photo. I don't think a big photo is here. No, don't take it literally. Bhagavan means who? You. You have entered this body, mind, sense complex, and that which has entered or is occupying the samhata means that which is put together has to be a samhata, not put together. The put together is for the sake of something else. And the nature of this something else here, namely consciousness, is what? Asamhata, not put together. Not put together, therefore, will not fall apart. But that which is put together, eyes, ears, nose, skin, hair, body, mind, etc., speech, all that will fall apart. But that which is put together has to fall apart, that is the law of life. But then that which is never put together, does not have parts, will not fall apart, and then what happens? It simply migrates to another house. When one house gets dilapidated, what do? You give it away or you migrate to another house. Similarly, this body, mind, sense complex is put together for the sake of the use by that which is not put together. And this is a argument which has as I said, is there in most Upanishads. Taittiriya Upanishad, Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad says this very clearly. Puram ekadashadvaram. So there is a city of 11 doors and windows. These are the 11 portholes through which intake and elimination takes place, through which I take the Jagat in, and then whatever is not needed, I process it and eliminate it out. And so these are the 11 gateways. This is the 11 gated city. And Puram Ekadashadvaram Avakra Chetasaha. Avakra Chetasaha. Chetasaha means consciousness. For this consciousness, which is what? Avakra. Vakra means full of parts, full of bends, finitude, flaws. Like Ashtavakra. Ashtavakra was a sage. It is said that his parents were Vedanta students. He was highly evolved even while in the womb. So then the father asks a question, the teacher asks the question. The father tries to answer and gives the wrong answer. And the baby, out of embarrassment, Ayo, I have a father like this, cringes in the womb and develops a bend right there because its bones are soft and not fully formed. And then this way the parents give 8 wrong answers, and then it has 8, the child grows up with 8 bends in the body. It's just a story, don't take it seriously, okay? So like this, just to say, Vakra. Vakra means that which has bends. Avakra Chetasaha means that which has no bends, no wrinkles, no parts, no flaws whatsoever. So for this consciousness which is whole, which is not put together, is this 11-gated body mind complex in the Kathopanishad, the 9-gated body in the Bhagavad Gita. Same thing. Doesn't matter. I mean, they're just counting the so-called gates and doors and windows differently. That's what it is. Navadvare pure dehi sukham aste naiva kurvan nakarayan. Without doing anything, the dehi, the one who is in the deha, is happily there in this 9-gated citadel. So like this argument is important because that which as though occupies this body-mind-sense complex is not part of the assemblage. Two things we have to know. First is that which occupies this body-mind-sense complex, this assemblage that is put together is what? Is not put together, number one. And that which occupies this body-mind-sense complex is not part of the assemblage. Cannot be part of the assemblage. How can it be part of the assemblage? If it is part of the assemblage, it cannot occupy the assemblage. So the assembled parts are for the sake of the unassembled, unassemblable consciousness, which as though occupies that, like even space occupies this room. This room is occupied by space as though, because the space is not confined in this room, space is free. And so, if this is understood, then these two verses will become extremely clear. So, first is Kena ishitam, kena preshitam patati manaha. So this body-mind-sense complex is directed by whom, in the presence of whom, desired by whom, willed by whom, whatever the answer is. Please tell me, the student asks the teacher is asked here, please tell me, what is this? What is that which directs this body-mind-sense complex to function? Because the eyes do not function on their own, otherwise the dead body can see, correct? The dead person's eyes also can start to see, means it will be a great trouble. They will say, don't bury me. Why, I don't want to be buried, I want to be kept outside. They will say that. Don't put me under the ground, I am afraid of the dark. They will say that. If the eyes can see. Eyes are intact, but the dead person's eyes do not see. The dead person's ears do not hear. So it's very clear that there is a difference between the organ called the organ of sight, the organ of hearing, etc., the organ of thinking. There is the faculty of thinking. There is a difference. There is a very big difference between that and the power that blesses it to think. It looks like the power to think, the power to see, comes from elsewhere. From a non-acting entity which allows the action to take place without it getting involved in the action. And so, this is what the student wants to know. That's why the student uses the word ishitam and preshitam together, just to be on the safe side. And what should the teacher have said? Teacher should have said, yes, there is such a thing called Brahman. And here is, this is what it does. It wills the eyes to see. It directs the ears to hear. But you don't find that answer. The teacher goes in a roundabout way to explain it, and we'll see why in the third and fourth verses. We will see why the teacher has to take this particular route. What does the teacher say? Chakshushas chakshuhu, shrotrasya shrotram, manasaha manaha, vacho ha vak, not vacham, that is chandasam. Vacho ha vak, it should be grammatically vacho ha vak, because vak is singular, first case singular, and here also all the other things are also first case singular, and so therefore it should be vacho havak. And then So all these things that are there, there is the eye of the eye. One eye sees and the other one blesses it to see. One pair of ears hear, the other ears, the invisible ears, are the powers that by whose mere presence the ears are blessed to hear. That which blesses by its presence, we know, is awareness, consciousness. Without becoming the ear, it supports the ear to hear. Without becoming the eyes, it makes the eyes see. Makes, again within inverted commas. Very difficult to understand how to talk even here. And it's not just my difficulty. In the 4th verse, the teacher himself will say, I don't know how to teach this. Teacher himself will say this. We don't know how to teach this. And there's only one way to teach it, by going around in circles and doing lots of paradoxes and keeping on repeating this, because this does bear repetition. Once I hear, it may not be enough. It has to be repeated so that it's properly understood. So there is a lot of repetition here. So then this eye of the eye, ear of the ear, what is this eye of the eye? Here, a very nice Adi Shankara deploys in his commentary a beautiful grammatical technique. So he notices that some of the words are in the 6th case, some of the words are in the 1st case. Shrotrasya, which case? 6th case. Shrotram, which case? 1st case. Chakshushaha, 6th case. Chakshuhu, 1st case. Vachaha, 6th case. Vak, 1st case. Pranasya, 6th case. Pranaha, 1st case. So, all those that are in the 6th case are what is called asadharana. These are all technical words. Asadharana means unique, uncommon. Shrotrasya, Shrotram. Shrotrasya, the first Shrotrasya has to do with the organ called the organ of hearing, namely the ears. First Shrotrasya. And then the second word Shrota, Shrotram, has to do with what? Has to do with the power of hearing, which is in the 1st case. All the words in the 1st case are sadharana, samanya, common. All the words in the 6th case are asadharana. Another very beautiful way of decoding these verses. So sadharana means what? Common. Asadharana, uncommon. Because when I say eye and when I say ear, those are two different things. They have nothing in common except that they are both pramanas, but that's different. But here they have nothing at all in common. They have nothing in common. The ear and the eye, and the eye is meant to see form and color. The ear is meant to cognize sounds. They don't even look like each other. The ear looks funny, the eyes also look funny, and they are all different from one another. Therefore what? They have nothing in common. They are unique. They are particular. So sadharana, I think we should better translate as particular. They are uncommon, unique, particular. All the words in the 6th case. All the words in the 6th case have to do with actually the organs of action, the organs of the senses. The sense organs and the organs of action, all the words in the 6th case are what? Unique, particular. They are particular in how they appear, they are particular in how they are put together, they are particular with relation to what job they do, they are particular with in relation to what kind of information they gather. It's all particular. But then, Shrotram, Manasaha, Manaha, Shrotram, Manaha, Vak, and then what else? Chakshuhu. All these are in the first case. They refer to something that is general, not particular. What is particular and what is general? Particular are the ways in which the sense organs function, how they look, where they are placed, what is their function, what is their phala, what is their purpose, what is their prayojana. That is particular, that differs from sense organ to sense organ. But what is general is the eye of the eye is the same as the ear of the ear. Is the same as the mind of the mind, is the same as the tongue of the tongue. Whatever else you want, you can add. It's the same. So you see how it is general and the organs themselves are particular. Shrotrasya, Shrotram, that which is in the first case is sadharana, general. Meaning it is common to all. Even though the ear and the eye may differ in terms of form and function, consciousness, which is behind, so to speak, which blesses the eye to see and blesses the ear to hear, is one and the same. Consciousness undergoes no change whatsoever. And there is no time lag also. Supposing I hear a dog bark and then I see the dog. There is a time lapse, right? Because between the bark and between the perception, the audio perception of the bark and the visual perception of the dog, there may have been 2 minutes gap. Why was there a gap? Because the dog took time to walk. It was barking and walking. First I heard the bark and then I was looking at it and it came this side. So I was able to see that this is the same dog that was barking because it is still barking. So consciousness is not like that. There is no time lapse between the blessing consciousness, as it were, illumining the eye, illumining the ears, illumining the mind. There is no time lapse. Why? Time is also a product, as though product of consciousness, not just the eyes and ears. But the separating factor, time, space, are also as though part of consciousness. Tasmad va etasmad atmana akasha sambhutah. From this Brahman, which is Atma, space was as though born. Space is born. From this Ishvara, Atma, space is born. Space is born means what? This is not an ordinary thing. Space is born means time is also born. Space, time are on the same continuum. So time, space, etc. are also in consciousness, not the other way round. Consciousness is not subject to time and therefore it will not say, oh, I have such a thankless job. First I have to get up and illumine the eyes. And this person insists on getting up at 5 o'clock, no sleep. This is consciousness speaking, okay? No sleep. Then the person rubs the eyes and then is seeing. And then the person hears the alarm clock. Now I have to go and bless the ears to hear the alarm clock. How boring. And all of them, no, it's a thankless job. Nobody understands me. This is Atma talking. Nobody understands me. Nobody is desirous of knowing me. Just a few weirdos who go to 3-month courses. That's all. Nobody else is interested. Outside the gates of the ashram, nobody else is interested in knowing me. I'm always misunderstood. Even though I do so much hard work, illumining the eyes, illumining the ears, illumining the mind, illumining this, that, illumining. Nobody says, thank you, Atma. It's a thankless job. Nobody says, You know, without you I could never see, without you I could never hear. No acknowledgement, no manners this jiva has. This jiva has no manners. What does the jiva think? I see very well, I hear very well. If Atma had complexes, if Atma were not Chit, Jnanam, all knowledge, this is where it would be. Atma would also need instruction in Satchidanandam Brahma. Thank God that is not the case. So, Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyat, there is no time lapse. Between illumining the eyes, between illumining the ears, between illumining speech or the mind. We can't even use the words, technically speaking, between. Between means there should be some space. There is neither time nor space. Then how can this consciousness illumine everything all at once? And for that we have to go to our cliched example, the sun. The sun, when it is there, does it illumine the world part by part? Don't say yes, because right now America is in darkness. Yes, it is illumining the world part by part. That's not the point. Where the sun is shining right now, does it illumine that area part by part? No. It illumines it all at once. It illumines a group under a tree, a group of people under a tree studying Bhagavad Gita. Oh, nice, so nice that the sun is illumining this. On the other side, a pack of people are plotting how to rob a bank. Even that group is illumined. Yugapath, at the same time. At the same time, everything is illumined. Similarly, we can take the analogy of the sun and understand that everything is illumined all at once. The eyes suddenly get their power to see, as do the ears, as does the mind. And therefore, I cannot even say, I see. I cannot do that. And this is illustrated very well in the Dakshinamurti Stotram in one of the verses. Nana chidra ghatodara sthita mahadeepa prabhabhaswaram jnanam yasya tu chakshuradikarana dvara bahispandate janamiti tameva bhantam anubhate tat samatstam jagat tasmai shri guru murtaye namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. This is a old game. Before there was disco. How did the parents entertain the children or put them to sleep or feed them, especially after it got dark? No electricity. So they had a contraption which was one plate. Either a copper plate or a earthen plate which could be moved by the hand. It was made in such a way that it could be moved. On top of that, they would light a lamp. They would put an earthen lamp. On top of that, they would cover a pot which had holes. The holes would be in the shape of sun, moon, little animals, little stick figures. And then in a dark room, you move the bottom plate, and then what would happen? The lights light up, and then the children would see little suns and moons going around, little stars, little animals. And so this was just for entertaining children. And from this, Adi Shankara has done this beautiful verse. He says, like a pot with many holes. Nana chidra ghata udara. The stomach of the pot has many apertures, which is covered over one lamp. Let's say it has 5 holes, 5 apertures, and then over one lamp I cover this lamp with another pot which has 5 holes, how many streams of light will I see? 5. 5 lights. Is it one by one? No. Yugapat, all at once I see that. And then when I take off the covering with the apertures, there is only one light. It is revealed that there is only one light. This one light morphs as though in many, many ways simultaneously without. If the one lamp is divided into 5, one would think with a human mind, what would one think? Oh, it will become small because that one lamp, and now I am dividing it into 5, it will be small. Did the lamp become small? No. The lamp, the light of the lamp that poured forth from each of those apertures was as big as the lamp. As big as the lamp. And so therefore there is no size-wise difference, there is no time-wise difference, there is no space-wise difference. All that is there is what? One just complete whole. This consciousness is like that light, and the covering the covering pot is like the body-mind-sense complex with 5 apertures for the 5 sense organs. Streaming, you can imagine, you can visualize consciousness in the form of all knowledge. We just call it light because it reveals, that's all it is. Don't think that there is light pouring out of the ears. A very disconcerting thought. So, that's not what is happening. So, light means you visualize it as that which reveals, so it is pouring forth from the ears, at the same time it's pouring forth from the eyes, from the mind, from every place, and in the same way as that one lamp which has as though morphed into 5 without losing anything in the process, without losing any ability, without losing anything whatsoever. This is a very beautiful analogy to illustrate the teacher's response. The teacher's response is exactly like this. The teacher says, Shrotrasya Shrotram. So the first Shrotram is what? The first Shrotrasya aperture. The second Shrotram, the one that is in the first case, is the light. The one that is in the 6th case are different holes of different sizes with different animals, different sun, moon, stars, so many things. But the light is that which here represents the first case. So different holes, different sizes, different forms, different names, but the light that is coming through all of them, revealing those shapes and forms, is what? One single, non-dual, all-knowing consciousness. Therefore, Shrotrasya Shrotram, Chakshushash Chakshuhu, Vachoha Vak, Sa Upranasya Pranaha. And then, Manaso Manoyat, all this is mentioned. Also in the Kenopanishad, this point about the sense organs is taken up. Again, this will help us understand this a little better. The question of sense organs is taken up where Lord Yama laments, Paranchikhani vyatrinat swayambhuhu parag pashyati nacha antaratman kaschid dhiraha avritta chakshuhu antaratmanam aikshat and amritatvam icchan. Very beautiful. So there Lord Yama laments this Swayambhu, this Bhagavan did not know what Bhagavan should be doing. Bhagavan had no idea what to do. What did Bhagavan do? Put all the apertures facing outside. And then tell us what? See, eyes are facing inward or outward? Outward. Ears are facing outwards. The tongue is saying, okay, what's for Bhandara today? Already it is saying. Okay? It's also facing outward. The nose is also facing outward. So therefore, and then what are we told? Please look inward, go inside, have a rich inner life. How to have a rich inner life? When I have, as though, as a human being, kind of been destroyed. I have been destroyed. How have I been destroyed? Because there is no chance of an inner life, because all the things are facing outwards. And the Jagat, Bhagavan's Jagat, is extremely tempting. Very, very tempting. Anywhere you see something new, something interesting, something exciting, something tempting, something that wants to go home with you, everywhere it is there. With all the sense organs, this is the reality, this is the story. And so Yama wonders, why? Why did the Lord do this? Why could not the Lord, the goddess, why could not Maya Shakti have made the eyes look within? What would have been our situation if the eyes looked within? We would see our own digestive system. Perhaps that would help us to eat better, that's all. Knowing how hard the digestive system is functioning. Or maybe we look at our heart and think and see how many blockages are really there. A very depressing thought. You don't want to find that out. Unless, of course, it can be prevented somehow. But still, this is, this would become boring in 2 minutes. And besides, the whole Jagad would be useless. Jagadandhya prasanga would take place, the whole Jagat would be nirarthaka, useless. If nobody is there to appreciate the Jagat, what for this Jagat is there? So the sense organs are, of course, facing the sense objects. This is their natural state. This being the natural state, you cannot bemoan, oh, how will I ever get moksha? Because there's always one more interesting thing to see, one more interesting thing to hear, one more interesting thing to taste. Because how to get this moksha, how to really have a rich inward life is mentioned in the Kenopanishad itself with the same word that is used here, dhira. Kaschid dhiraha. A rare person, a rare wise person. Kaschid dhiraha. What does the rare wise person do? Antaratmanam aikshat. Sees as though. Sees doesn't mean really sees. As though sees the Atma. Why? Avritta chakshuhu. Has an inner revolution of vision. This is a good way to put it. An inner revolution of the vision the person has, the person gains self-knowledge, has an inner revolution of vision, making him or her a visionary, a seer, so to speak. And this seer, this visionary, what does this visionary do? This visionary, desiring the Atma, says, I would like to have only this, and ignores the other perceptions, ignores the other perceptive faculties. Because of this, initiating this inner revolution of vision brought about by the Shastra. And here also same word is used. What is that? Dhiraha. Dhiraha. Atimuchya. Atimuchya means having transcended, having become free. Free from what? Free from thinking that the chakshu, shrotram, manaha, vak, etc. are just discrete things doing their discrete functions, and there is nothing beyond that. They have stopped thinking in this manner. They have stopped attaching the I, identifying the I with the functions of the sense organs. I see, I hear, I walk, I talk. That I is consciousness. They themselves know very well that this I is nothing but consciousness. And since I is consciousness, then what is there to do? Then you cannot claim yourself to be seer, hearer, all this. Hearing, seeing takes place. Hearing takes place. Everything takes place in the presence of which consciousness? That indeed I am, the one who has understood this without a shadow of doubt, error or vagueness is called Dhira, Jnani. Dhihi rati dadati iti dhiraha. Dhihi dadati, the one who can share their thinking. Why? Because there are people ready to listen. I also want to share my thinking. Yes, but nobody is ready to listen. So keep quiet. Dhira is the one not only who is interested in sharing the thinking, but people have lined up to listen because whatever the person says makes sense. So the Dhira is very popular because the Dhira is wise. So this wise person, Atimuchya, coming out from under the hold of thinking, I am the Karta, I am the Bhokta. Even with regard to the sense organs, I see, Karta. Oh, I have some eye problem, I don't see very well, Bhokta, victim. And then this Karta Bhokta, you just feel like a mad person. As soon as you say you are Karta, you are Bhokta, I am the initiator of action, I am the agent of action, and I am victimized by other people's actions. This is a very mad, sad, bad way to live. One has to see the truth of this. There is akartritvam, abhoktritvam, no status of karta, no status of bhokta with regard to the body, mind, sense complex, atimuchya. Then what happens? Then, as I said yesterday, they don't stop living after gaining enlightenment. You don't stop living. So then one day the laws of the body will follow. The body's laws will fructify. What is the law of the body? It is mortal. So it will come to fruition. The body will drop. Pretya means having departed from this world. Lokyate iti lokaha. So that which is experienced is called a field of experience, loka. Like this earth is called loka. So, pretya asman lokat. From this world they depart, and then what do? Do they come back? No. Amritaha bhavanti. What departs? What departs is just, what as though departs is consciousness. Consciousness doesn't depart, it as though departs. That's why we say the body is dead. Consciousness has departed, consciousness does not depart. Then why does it say pretya? So that we will understand. Otherwise we'll mistake it to read that the jnani never dies. No, the death takes place for a jnani, especially if it is said at the end, amritaha bhavanti. We think no death can be there for a jnani, so therefore what? So therefore the jnani, the body also doesn't die and the jnani also doesn't die. That is not correct. Body is subject to the 5 elements, it is made up of the 5 elements. Mind is also made up of the sattvic portion of the 5 elements, mind and jnanendriya. And so all that is left behind for the jnani. The physical body resolves into the earth, and then the subtle body resolves into the subtle 5 elements. And what about the causal body? The causal body of the jnani, what happens to the causal body? There is no causal body. It was already gone in the wake of gaining this knowledge. The cause of ignorance is gone. So therefore there is no causal body. No causal body, so no cause for rebirth. No coming back. Amritaha bhavanti. They considered themselves immortal while alive. They considered themselves Satchidananda while alive. And after their death also, it is Satchidananda continues. The name and form does and will perish. And so, this is the end of verse 2. Pretya asman lokat ಅಮೃತಾ ಭವಂತಿ. ನ ತತ್ರ ಚಕ್ಷುರ್ಗಚ್ಚತಿ ನ ವಾಗ್ಗಚ್ಚತಿ ನೋ ಮನಃ ನ ವಿದ್ಮೋ ನ ವಿಜಾನೀಮಃ ಯಥಾ ಏತತ್ ಅನುಶಿಷ್ಯಾತ್ ಅನ್ಯದೇವ ತದ್ವಿದಿತಾತ್ ಅಥೋ ಅವಿದಿತಾದ್ ಅಧೀ ಇತಿ ಶುಶ್ರುಮ ಪೂರ್ವೇಷಾಂ ಯೇನಸ್ತದ್ವ್ಯಾಚಚಕ್ಷಿರೇ. ಓಂ ಪೂರ್ಣಮದಃ ಪೂರ್ಣಮಿದಂ ಪೂರ್ಣಾತ್ ಪೂರ್ಣಮುದಚ್ಯತೆ ಪೂರ್ಣಸ್ಯ ಪೂರ್ಣಮಾದಾಯ ಪೂರ್ಣಮೇವಾವಶಿಷ್ಯತೆ. ಓಂ ಹರಿಃ ಓಂ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. ಹರಿಃ ಓಂ.